Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday and welcome to the Early Wedge. My name is Sia Nejad. I'm joined by Jason Sobel. We may or may not have Mike McClure, who's having some technical difficulties, but don't worry. He sent some picks our way. Jason, there's already a lot of questions in the chat. A lot of people on Tommy Fleetwood in that without market, watchers of the Early Wedge, but there's a lot of other stuff going on. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for what should be a very fun final round. I love the juxtaposition of Tommy Fleetwood, 162 starts into his PGA Tour career, finally trying to get that first win. And who's chasing him? Well, Justin Rose, yes, one of his really good friends. They talked about that after the round yesterday. And the most prolific winner on the PGA Tour over the last 4 years in Scottie Scheffler.
Doesn't it feel like, and I want you to share some details about, because I didn't catch that interview where Justin and Tommy were talking about being paired together, although I think everybody would understand why they would be comfortable in that spot. But doesn't it feel like the sentiment, and it's not wrong sentiment, but doesn't it feel like it's a foregone conclusion that Scottie's not only going to chase, well, Justin and Tommy down, but just like pass them easily by the time we get down the stretch? Doesn't that feel like what everybody is thinking?
I don't know about everybody.
Including Tommy Fleetwood, everybody.
Not everybody. I think it might be Tommy's time. I started thinking that early in the week. Look, I didn't play him for an outright pre-tournament when Tommy Fleetwood is the third shortest number on the board before the tournament starts. Like, you just can't do it. After the first round, he was up there. He shot 7 under 63, and the number dropped to 4.5 to 1 plus 450. And I'm like, can't bet that number. So I haven't really gotten on Tommy Fleetwood, but I just kind of had this inkling throughout the week that, like, I think this is Tommy's time. I think he's going to do it. It would make sense, see it in a tournament like this where it matters but doesn't really matter. It's the biggest names, but they're not, it's not a major championship. It's just kind of like all the puzzle pieces seem to fit for me, for Tommy to finally win something at this golf tournament.
And it's part of the reason I had him on my outright card. But again, without Scottie at a pedestrian 18 to 1, it just seemed like the perfect time for Tommy because A, I'm taking Scottie out of it, and B, Rory took himself out of it. So it was one of those things where once you get past Scottie and Rory, it seemed to me like it was anybody's game. You see my outrights here, Victor Hovland. I mean, just a crash and burn, although he's kind of rebounded okay, I guess. Sam Burns took himself out of it. But again, this Tommy Fleetwood number, it wasn't fun to take, but it did feel, Jason, like this was a solid spot for Tommy Fleetwood.
Kudos to you. I had forgotten that you took him on the Early Wedge show, our best bet show on Tuesday. So good luck to you. I've got a couple of live parlays that I picked up after round one with Fleetwood in them, and one of them could be very special. That said, good job by you getting on Fleetwood, even in the without market. But yeah, winner without Scottie Scheffler. I mean, look, you've got a couple of outs there. Tommy could win this outright, and Tommy could lose by 5 to Scottie Scheffler and still cash that bet for you.
I know there's some questions relating to some hedging and some other, and we'll go through those just in about a minute. But there's other people in the conversation here. I mean, credit to Justin Rose, who I feel like Friday afternoon, it felt like things were going really well, and then it kind of went sideways for him. And you thought, okay, this is Justin Rose. Yeah, he steps up in big moments, but maybe he's just going to fade on a Friday afternoon. Well, he's obviously won back. My fear with this Tommy ticket, by the way, is I kind of figured we might see something like this with Scottie either lurking or in the lead going into day 4 over Tommy. My fear is Justin Rose is going to continue to play well, although I'm not super confident that he is. JJ Spawn is playing really well. He's only 3 shots back. Do you think there's anybody else, like whether you have the Scott without Scottie market or whatever, just talking about who's at the top of this board? You got Ben Griffin, Fowler, and Chris Kirk and Akshay Bhatia that are 5 back here. Do you think any of those guys are in the conversation, or does this feel like a 5-person race with Andrew Novak at 11 under as well?
I was going to go 5 deep. I think it's a 5-person race. I mean, what kind of scores are out there? 62 for a Ben Griffin, Fowler, Kirk, Bhatia puts them at 17 under. Tommy has to shoot 3, Justin 4, Scottie 5. It's possible. You got to go super low. If you're at 9 under today, coming into this, you've got to post a 62, maybe a 63 is good enough to get into a playoff. But I don't see these guys blowing up. I mean, the scores have been very good all week. These guys are tearing the golf course apart. And I just don't see All 5 of those guys at the top, which include, and I get it, Tommy's not a prolific winner, but Tommy's still a very good golfer. He's still one of the top 10 players in the world right now. Justin Rose is very good, hasn't won in a couple of years. Scotty is Scotty. JJ Spawn has learned a lot about winning this year, and Andrew Beck is a guy who's trying to step on the gas pedal for a whole lot of reasons. I just don't know that, Chris Kirk, and I have a little Chris Kirk from pre-tournament too. I'd like to see it, but it's got to be super low.
Yeah, and we've seen Chris Kirk fade on Sundays as recently as last week. I mean, listen, I think Ben Griffin could potentially go low, but here's, a little advice to everybody watching. When you're looking at a chaser, whether it's after round 2, 3, or 4, what you want to look at the top of the board, it's one thing to consider Tommy Fleetwood crashing and burning because we see that so many times. But when you're looking at somebody in the chase pack, even somebody that's good and that can go low like Ben Griffin, or sometimes we see it from Chris Kirk, Akshay Bhatia, even Andrew Novak, although he's at 11 under, like when you're chasing A, Tommy Fleetwood, but B, and more importantly, somebody like Scotty Scheffler, and you're having to get both of those guys to just have a pedestrian round and your guy to spike. Again, when you're trying to chase down guys like Scotty Scheffler, those live bets with guys that are 5-6 back in the final round or even the final 2 rounds, that's usually not going to go super well. Let's look at the odds board, and then we're going to get to some questions. Lori, I think I understand your question, but I'm not 100% sure. I know Josh put this up here, but Tommy Fleetwood at plus 150, Scotty Scheffler plus 170, Justin Rose plus 400, and then we got Spawn at plus 1200. I'll mention this, Jason. Spawn's hitting it so well, and he is a proven winner recently, that for my hedge opportunity, like, again, Scotty's out of the conversation for me because I have the without Scotty market with Tommy Fleetwood. I'm not going to take Justin Rose at plus 400, or you can get him at other places, maybe plus 450. What I would consider is a guy who's striking it really well off the tee and on approach, and who has won in JJ Spawn. So if I was going to hedge something early, it would be a small play on JJ Spawn. And again, with me having that Tommy without market, any of these odds intriguing to you, whether you have a ticket or not?
I cannot. I love JJ Spawn. He's one of the nicest guys on the PGA Tour. He's a nervy kind of guy. I just can't get over the fact that I don't believe in JJ Spawn facing up against Scotty Scheffler in the penultimate pairing, being one shot behind him and a few behind Fleetwood and Rose, and going out there and shooting a 64 and winning this golf tournament. I get that he's the U.S. Open champion. I get that he's had a great year. I give him a ton of credit for – not that he would mail it in after winning a major championship, but like just the tank runs on empty at some point. And the fact that he has continued to step on the gas pedal, the proverbial gas pedal over the last couple of months is very impressive. I give JJ Spawn a ton of credit. I wasn't sure that he had this in him to continue this going. I just can't see it. I just don't see Spawn like looking at Scotty Scheffler across the tee box and going, I got that guy today. I'm going to go step on some throats and go take him down. He's good.
I disagree, and I hate to torture the metaphor, but I feel like Spawn is a guy that's on autopilot. He has just a certain temperament where, especially when it's a good course fit for him, where he can keep it kind of in play off the tee. Good long iron player, has kind of proven it before, has stared down Rory McIlroy, although that didn't go super well for him in the playoff. I just feel like he's a guy that isn't really recognizing what's going on around him, and then all of a sudden he's winning a tournament.
I go back to something that JJ told me during the U.S. Open. We're at Oakmont, and this is after the second round. I think he was either still in the lead or close to it when I interviewed him, and we talked about it. And he said, "Man, I was just trying to make the cut. I just wanted to be around for the weekend because I haven't done that much of majors." And again, like, it just tells you the difference in the mentality of a Scotty Scheffler and the mentality of a JJ Spawn. Scotty, can you imagine Scotty saying, I was just looking to make the cut this week and, be around for the weekend? No, like, I just don't know if JJ's got that killer instinct, which I get sounds crazy considering he rolled in a 65-footer to win a U.S. Open. Like, that's all the killer instinct you need to see and need to know. And I get that what I'm saying sounds contradictory just a couple of months after he was able to do that, but I'm just not sure I totally see it. And look, if someone wants to come into the chat and tell me I'm completely crazy and totally wrong that they've seen it and JJ's done it, I buy it. I understand that. But again, I have trouble, and I've told you this a lot, Sia, on the show, that I have trouble betting on players and having confidence in players who I don't feel are fully confident in themselves. Now, does JJ Spawn have a lot more confidence over, getting into a playoff at the Players and winning the U.S. Open. Yeah, I presume that he does. That's probably a big part of why he's continuing to play so well. But I want to put my money on guys that are confident in their own abilities to the utmost extreme, and that's Scotty. That's Justin Rose to an extent. I don't know that that's Tommy, but I do think that Tommy can get it done today.
Yeah. We're going to talk about some other big names that are actually on that top 50 cut line before. By the way, this tournament, I mean, this show, we're going to be talking about some matchups in a second. We're going to be talking about some live outrights and some hedges, but also the FedEx Cup point standings as well. Jason, go ahead.
I do want to, if we can put up the comment from the deal, which I think is very, very interesting. And I've been thinking the same thing. So I mentioned earlier, this was the PGA Tour radio post-round interviews yesterday. Doug Bell did a great job. He asked Justin Rose about, look, you're going to be playing with Tommy. You're a good friend of his. You want to see him win on the PGA Tour, but you also want to win as well. And Justin's kind of like, this is going to be really tough. I would like nothing more in the world than to see Tommy Fleetwood finally win on the PGA Tour. He said Cameron Young and Tommy Fleetwood were the two best players out here without a win. Cam did it last week. Man, it would be so cool if Tommy got the win. He said, if I'm not there, I'm cheering for him. I want him to do it. But, of course, I want to win too.
Yeah.
That's a weird feeling for a guy like that. And then they interviewed Tommy, and Doug asked Tommy about playing with Justin Rose. And Tommy said, man, I respect him so much. He's a guy that I've looked up to and admired my entire career. And to get a chance to know him and be on Ryder Cup teams with him, it's meant so much to me. And we're really going to enjoy the walk together. I love that Tommy gets a comfortable pairing in trying to go for that first win. I worry that it's a little too comfortable, that sometimes we look at these things and go, Tommy gets Justin Rose. Those guys are buddies. They're going to be out there having a great time making birdies. It doesn't always work that way. A lot of times you want a guy that maybe you're not going to talk with. Maybe you're not going to be rooting for and saying, great shot. Look, Rory McIlroy won a Masters this year playing in the final round with Bryson DeChambeau. That seemed to work out pretty well, even if Rory was up and down the entire day. Sometimes that helps to focus a little more when you don't really give a heck about the guy on the other side of the tee box.
Well, they got the big bad wolf in the group in front of them. So maybe they can just pep talk each other to raise their game so that at the very least, Scotty Scheffler doesn't win this. Let's get to some questions here. Lori Switzer says, good morning. Need your expert advice on how to hedge with Rose. So I think what you mean is you don't have Rose, but you have all these other players. So you have, Lori, a potential Scotty outright that pays $575, Fleetwood without Scotty that pays $432. Let's see, Spawn without the top four, $510, and Kirk to win $1,000. Suggestions, please. So what she's asking is, what does she put on Rose, if anything? My instinct here is to not put anything on Rose right now. You're spread pretty thin as it is. I mean, granted, you got some nice return money coming here potentially, but Jason, I would wait this out, maybe see how the first few holes, the first 9 holes, 12 holes, because there's not going to be a situation where Rose is going to be such a big favorite. I mean, Scotty and Fleetwood collapse. Rose is going to be such a big favorite that you miss some great number and all of a sudden he's like minus 250. I mean, I think he's going to linger and lurk between the number he's at right now and potentially longer through the first 9, 12, 15 holes here.
Yeah, look, this is probably a Mike McClure question more than you and I. I'm not a big hedge guy. I'm like, let's let it ride. And there's a reason you like these guys in the first place. And let's try to get a win out of one of them, especially with Fleetwood without Scotty. But look, you got a chance of going 1-2 here with Scotty Fleetwood. I don't know that I'd necessarily add any Rose to this. I like Justin Rose. Don't love it today. I don't know. If you want to go a small hedge just to get something back, just to guarantee yourself of a little profit this week, I don't mind that, but I would not go big on it.
Yeah, I would wait. I think it's okay to consider a hedge, but you've got this board surrounded so much right now that I just don't think you need to go in right now and protect yourself on all fronts. I would wait to see maybe Rose falls back a little bit, and then maybe you get an opportunity at 10-1 or 8-1 just to throw a few bucks to maybe protect your initial investment. Fluffhead123 says you got a 2-ball. So I've been red hot with matchups and 3-balls and you name it, especially the picks I'm giving out on the early edge, some on the early wedge, of course, as well. But we'll go through some of the 2-balls. I got to be honest, Jason, I don't know if you have one, but there weren't any that I loved. So maybe we'll look at some. Josh will put them up in just a minute, and we can see if there's anything we can come to agreement on. Looking for more questions here, as we've already got some of the matchups on the board. Let's see. Stonefish says Scheffler with the dub, Griffin top 5, Kirk top 10. Thoughts? Wow. Okay. So Scheffler with the win makes sense. Griffin top 5 is interesting. How do you think he's going to do today? I mean, the ball striking appears to be getting better as the tournament goes.
Yeah, no, I got no problem with Griffin. I like it. I think if you're going to play Griffin for a top 5, what the question you have to ask yourself is, who's he passing? And yes, I don't expect the top 5 at the end of the day to look exactly like the top 5 right now. We know how much things change in the course of 18 holes, but I think you have to ask that question. If you're going with Griffin top 5, which one of those players, Fleetwood, Rose, Scheffler, Spawn, Novak, is falling outside the top 5? Somebody's got to fall down the board. And if you look at those guys and say, I don't know which one's falling down the board, then you might not have full confidence in Griffin just because he's 2 behind that top 5 spot. So if you think, look, Andrew Novak, don't like him, don't think he's going to show up today, don't think he's going to play well, he's got something over par written all over him, then yeah, I don't mind the Griffin play. But if you look at those top 5, you go, I don't see anybody faltering today, I don't see anybody sliding down the board, then Griffin's going to have to shoot essentially 2 shots better than Spawn and Novak, 3 better than Scotty Scheffler. I don't know if I necessarily see that, but yeah, can he jump over a Spawn or a Novak? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I'm, listen, I'm a huge Chris Kirk guy, but I'm not super confident that he's going to have another great round. His round 4 last week was a little underwhelming. Some of the round 4s lately have been just okay. He gained a lot short game, or at least a decent amount short game in round 3. I could see him just having just a normal sort of pedestrian day, which could drop him back because Cantlay could have a good round. Taylor Pendrith has been striking it really well. Sepp Straka, we know, could have a good round. So there's a lot of guys in that chase pack, in that sort of top 10, top 16 range that I think could actually pass Kirk. I don't know what the number is on that parlay, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I actually like Kirk. I've been on Kirk throughout the entire week. Ranked 14th in strokes gained approach yesterday. For the whole tournament so far, he ranks 11th, coming off a heater last week. And we talked about Kirk on the early wedge show earlier this week. I had him for a top 20, which was very conservative. But at the time, I talked about he's a guy that's fairly streaky. When he gets hot, he can get really hot, and he can hang with anybody in this field, which goes to show why he's got 6 wins at this level, but doesn't feel like a 6-win kind of guy. Doesn't seem like he's been that successful, but his ceiling is very high. And so I don't mind sticking with Kirk. I think Kirk's going to have another good day.
I hear that 100%. And by the way, early credit to the early wedge. You, as this week, hopefully he stays in the top 20, but I had Chris Kirk top 20 on the early wedge as well at like plus 320 last week. So we've been cashing some Chris Kirk tickets, not in the outright department necessarily, but in that top 20 market at good plus money. Fred George says, I took under 68.5 round scores on Spawn, Griffin, and Cantlay. I like all 3 of them to have pretty good days, Jason.
I really like Cantlay. I think Cantlay's starting to round into form a little bit. There's a lot on the line for Patrick Cantlay right now, and it hasn't been the best of seasons, but it hasn't been nearly as bad as people tend to believe it is. It's one of these, like, the results haven't quite lived up to the promise, but the performance, the numbers, the analytics are really good this year for Patrick Cantlay. He's trying to make the Ryder Cup team, and he's got to be seeing all these other guys, the Andrew Novaks and the Maverick McNeelys, the guys like, I should make the team over them, but I'm leaving myself open to a decision being made by the captain, and I think he wants to shut that door pretty quickly, and I think it's going to be a good day for Cantlay, and I think next week where he goes back to a place where he won 4 years ago, and I know we'll get into the BMW Championship in a little bit here, but I think next week's going to be a good week for him as well.
Yeah, we're going to take 5-10 minutes to preview the BMW Championship, and just about 11 o'clock, we're going to dip into that, and then we're going to dip back to see what's going on the course and maybe finalize some picks. Rick Funcannon says, do you like Scotty? Oh, by the way, speaking of round scores, Mike can't join us, but he did, or I don't think he's going to join us. He did let us know that there were a few things he liked. He liked Ludwig to top 10 this tournament at what I believe is pretty good plus money. He liked Scotty to win at plus 180, plus 175. And he liked Akshay Bhatia's round score over. Not his under, but his round score over. So just an FYI there. Rick asks, do you like Scotty's under 66.5 at plus 105? That would be 4 under or better. if I'm doing my math right. I don't know. I'm going to stay away from that. Your thoughts, Jason?
Yeah, I kind of like that. Look, Scotty's gotten 67, 66, 65. Yesterday was not his best day. Look, I don't know. We can put letter grades on anything, but that was certainly not his A game. I'm not sure that was his B game, and he shot 65 yesterday. I spoke with Mayan Patel, part of the PGA Tour radio team, who was following him on the course yesterday. He's like, it was just pretty good. He was frustrated a little bit during the day. He didn't speak with the media, and Mayan's take on this was that it was just sort of a timing thing. He had a lot of stuff going on, but a lot of times if a guy doesn't talk with the media after the round, it means A, he's kind of pissed off and just doesn't want to lash out in front of the cameras and microphones, or B, he doesn't feel like his game's in the right place and he wants to go straight to the range and probably doesn't have a whole lot of time before dinner and wants to go out there and hit more balls. It tells me something. There's something going on. Scotty not talking to the media yesterday. Look, as a media guy, I don't have a problem with it. Scotty talks after almost every round, and he's great with us. And if he wants to take a day off on a Saturday in Memphis, I'm totally fine with that. That said, we can try to read something into it, read between the lines a little bit, and the fact that I don't think he was fully happy shooting 65. And I think there's more left. And Scotty certainly hasn't played his best golf this week, and he's right there near the top.
It really does seem like Scotty's not like playing Scotty golf, but not getting away with it, just doing what he does. Like not Scotty golf is still being 2 back and 12 under par. I mean, it would be, I can't believe I'm saying this. It'd be hard to believe for me. It's hard for me to believe that Scotty's not going to win this tournament with 18 holes left. I mean, he's going to have to miss some putts because even when he gets in trouble, in the rough off the tee, he's just like Scotty always does. He's managing to get it to 8 to 10 to 15 feet. It's pretty crazy stuff. I want to get into some matchups that people are recommending. Maybe we could put the matchup board in a second. But I also want to point out that Denny McCarthy, who by the way was kind of on that top 50 line, although he's tucked kind of nicely inside it, he's 4 under through 4 holes. That includes an eagle. Wyndham Clark is +2, which I'm pretty sure is going to have him on the outside looking in for the FedEx Cup or for the BMW Championship. I also want to mention Chris Gotterup is 4 under through 14. So he's making a bit of, you talked about the Ryder Cup. Like he's at least making it not embarrassing for himself. He's got 4 holes left. He's 1 over par. And I will mention, he on his 3rd hole, par 5, he bogeyed it going for it, obviously going for it in 2. He could be having a nuclear round, but -4. There are some low scores out there. There's some big scores too. Go ahead, Jason.
Denny was my favorite outright last week at the Wyndham Championship. He at least made it look good at the end. Just something to file away for everybody out there. Denny McCarthy out of contention going into a final round tends to just go, let's step on the gas pedal. Let's make a whole lot of putts. And he goes low in those situations where he's a little bit out of it, which isn't like, look, Rory McIlroy gets criticized all the time for backdoor top 5 finishes. All the strokes count the same. Doesn't matter whether you do it on Thursday morning or Sunday afternoon when you're out of contention, but Denny McCarthy seems like one of those guys. So again, it's the next time you see Denny on a leaderboard and he's like tied for 27th place after 3 rounds and you're looking at a round score, a matchup going into the final day, Denny tends to play pretty well in those situations.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see who likes him, if anyone, next week at a kind of a big ballpark, which is what we'll talk about in a second, a par 70, 7,600 yards. Not necessarily Denny's cup of tea, but he's also kind of local to that Maryland area. Maybe those vibes help him as well, Jason.
4 years ago, we were at Liberty Nationals in my mind, I think, but wherever we were, I waited him out on a range for an hour and a half as he was working through a practice session and finally finished. And great dude comes over and we talk for a minute. I go, Caves Valley next week. You've got to have, you're a Maryland guy. I'm sure you played there a lot. He goes, never been there.
Oh,
cool. Wow. Thanks. Glad I waited you out for 90 minutes. I had nothing else to do on a Wednesday afternoon. But no, I mean, we talked about it. He said, I know people. I know the course, obviously, a little bit. And I, might just have a little more intel than some others. But, there's nothing for Denny at Caves Valley. There's no kind of connection other than the fact that he's from Maryland. Yeah,
fair enough. That's good info. Somebody mentioning he's plus 250 for a top 20 or plus 150 for a top 20. Yeah. He's currently T21 through 4. I don't know. That's touch and
Yeah,
go for
I
me
don't know.
there.
I do agree with Taylor DeHart, though. If Tommy wins this week, then Denny's next. If we go
Yeah.
Cameron Young, Tommy Fleetwood, it's either Denny McCarthy, me, or you, Sia. I don't think there's anyone left to win on the PGA Tour.
Hey, I'm going next week. Are you going to be there, Jason, next week
I'm
at all?
not. Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go there, I think, on Friday after my early edge show, maybe on Saturday as well, but I'm going to go at least one day. So if anybody is going to Caves Valley, please let me know. I'll tweet it out too. I'd love to know who all is going to be there. Jeff Stewart says Fowler over Kirk minus 120. Jason, I don't know that I like both of those guys.
No,
yeah.
I don't like Fowler. I will take Kirk all day over Fowler. I don't totally trust Ricky in this situation. I'm rooting for him. Be great for him to get inside that top 50 and not have to rely on sponsor exemptions, but there's an awful lot on the line. And over the last couple of years, we've seen from Ricky Fowler that when there's a lot on the line, it usually doesn't go the way he wants it to.
Let's put up, Josh, let's put up the BetMGM board for matchups, and let's scroll down to we can move past the first few that are starting right now, especially since I don't particularly like any of the numbers. Let's go to the Ludwig matchup. We'll start there. The one at 12:05, which starts obviously in an hour. It's Ludwig minus 140 over Kurt Kitayama. Are we willing to pay that price, Jason, on Ludwig? I do like Ludwig, but I don't think I like him enough to pay the minus 140 here.
No, if you've got another one that you like that's a big favorite somewhere and you want to parlay Ludwig and somebody else, I'm okay with that because I do think he wins that one.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was going to say Cam Young over Matty Schmid. Cam Young's minus 160, but Matty Schmid's playing too well right now. I don't think I'd want to include that in the parlay.
I'd take Young in that one. I'd take Cam.
Okay, fair enough. Thomas Dietrich over Bridgman is really interesting. That's the next one down. So Bridgman is a guy I took on Friday over Ryan Fox, and he won by like literally 8 or 9 strokes. With that said, Bridgman's kind of tailed off just a little bit. And the thing I like about Dietrich, that, by the way, it's not minus 1,200, it's minus 120. They just have it listed wrong. The thing I like about Dietrich is that he's hitting a lot of fairways. I feel like he's taking on this course the way a guy like Thomas Dietrich should take it on, just like be conservative off the tee, hit fairways. Any thoughts on Dietrich being a slight favorite over Jacob Bridgman?
Yeah, I'm taking him at minus 1,200. Look, I like Dietrich. I like the ball striking. It always makes me a little skittish to fade a guy in a matchup who is as good a putter as Jacob Bridgman is.
Yeah, exactly.
I know he's a little streaky, but all of a sudden, like, you could be on the right side of this the entire day. It's like a football game where you're like, hey, I took so-and-so at, minus 6.5. At the end of the game, they throw up a Hail Mary and they cut it to 5. And you're like, I was on the right side for 59.5 minutes and I didn't win the bet. This feels like one of those where Dietrich could be the right side the entire day and Bridgman rolls in a couple of 15-foot putts and you're like, he shouldn't have won this, and he did.
And I will say this about both of these guys. Pressure's pretty much off from a playoff standpoint, because at least for now, because Dietrich currently projected at number 30 and Jacob Bridgman projected at 27. So they're certainly they'll be at BMW. And if they play decent today and next week, they're going to be inside that top 30 as well. And I'll note Chris Gotterup has sort of fought back a little bit. He's 26th right now in the FedEx Cup playoffs, whereas before today, he certainly was outside the top 30. Okay, let's go to a couple more matchups. Siwoo Kim minus 130 over Bud Cauley. Speaking of a guy like Bud Cauley leaking a little bit of oil, we talked about him on the DFS show and the live chat, especially the live chat where we were like, hey, he's a ball striker. This guy could be, and we mentioned Novak in a different context on that live chat as well. I still like Siwoo Kim here, but probably not willing to pay the minus 130.
Yeah, probably not. Can I tell a Siwoo Kim story, though, from this week?
Please.
I had him on the show. I was doing Gravy in the Sleeves with Drew Stoltz on Tuesday. I was out on the range, or Wednesday. I was out on the range for PGA Tour Radio, and Siwoo comes over, and I love this guy. Every time I talk to him, I like him more. And we started talking video games, and Siwoo tells us, essentially, he bought a coffee machine at one point just because the box was the perfect size to put his PlayStation in to travel. So he travels with his PlayStation, like a speaker. He's like, it's a lot of stuff. He's like, I'm bringing it on the road every week, but I love it. I play Call of Duty every night, and it relaxes me, and I have a good time with it. And I say, are other players doing that? He goes, a couple other guys bring their laptops, but like not the full setup like I have. And so I said, okay, so you're not playing against other guys. You're playing against like 8 and 9-year-old kids. And he kind of hesitates for a minute. He goes, yeah, they all tell me I suck.
Well, 8 and 9-year-old kids and Kyler Murray.
Yeah, there you go.
That's good. That's really interesting. All right, let's go to, okay, this one you might like, but I don't know that either of us would be willing to take it. Patrick Cantlay, Sepp Straka. Cantlay, a very slight favorite. Oh, it's minus 125 here. I will just full disclosure, everybody. It's minus 115 in places as well. So BetMGM usually has, a lot of times has the better line. In this case, not necessarily. Would you pay minus 115 or minus 125 over Sepp?
Yeah, I think I might. Yeah, I do like Cantlay today. And what was the one we were talking about earlier that was minus 140, Ludwig over Kitayama?
Yes.
Yeah, I would, if I was looking for a parlay opportunity to go with Ludwig, I would go Ludwig Cantlay and be pretty, I'd feel pretty good about having the two of them together.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. Let's go down another one. I think I like the dog here. Akshay Bhatia. Let's see what's BetMGM's price on this Akshay Bhatia Taylor Pendrith matchup. It is minus. I think I like Pendrith here. They're both ball strikers. I think Pendrith is like I think he's playing this course very well.
I am absolutely with you on that. I really like Taylor Pendrith in this one. I really like Taylor Pendrith next week. And again, I know we're going to talk BMW in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But I think he's a really good course fit for that one. I also remind the folks that the last time Akshay Bhatia played a final round, he went into it tied for the lead at the 3M Open, shot 75, finished in a share of 25th place. That's hard to do. When you're tied for the lead and finish outside the top 20 at the end of the day, that's not good. Last week, he was playing so badly that he withdrew instead of coming back for the suspended round on Saturday morning. I mean, I know he went out there and shot 62 in the first round, but it's all been getting a little bit worse for Akshay as it continues. And I would love to take Pendrith in that matchup. Yes. All
right, let's look at, there's maybe one more matchup to consider. I mean, Fowler over Kirk, we already decided we weren't touching that one. Honestly, if I was going to touch that one, it would actually be Ricky Fowler, but I'm not doing it. I know you'd be on the Chris Kirk side, Jason.
I like Kirk. I like that number on Kirk too.
Yeah, minus 105. That's not bad. Let's go down to the final pairing. I want to see what BetMGM's number is here with, of course, Tommy Fleetwood and Justin Rose. We've got, it's minus 150. Justin Rose plus 120. Can't do it.
I want no part of either side of that.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
I mean, because I know Liddy was asking about this in the chat, and he was asking, do you like the Justin Rose side of it? If I had to take something, this is somebody with a Tommy Fleetwood outright ticket. If I had to take something, it would be the Justin Rose side at plus 120, but I'm not willing to take this.
No, I feel the same way on that. Like, I almost, and again, I like Tommy this week. I would like to see Tommy win just as a golf fan. You almost want to let him. I said this about Max Homa a couple of weeks ago, that you almost want to let him be. Like, I get it. We're trying to get bets and we're trying to figure out like where the edge is and who to put our money on. I almost feel like in these situations, like, not that me or you or anybody else putting some money on or against Tommy is going to either motivate him or jinx him in any way. That said, I feel like in some of these situations, like, just leave the guy alone. Just like put your money in your pocket, turn the TV on, and just let him go play golf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know Josh has something to say about Tommy Fleetwood potentially closing this out and whether he can do that. So we're going to cover Caves Valley just for a few minutes. Then we're going to circle back to what's going out on the course, maybe some final plays that we like, whether they be in the outright department or matchups or things of that nature. And then maybe during that time, Jason, maybe we can get a take from Josh as to who he thinks is going to chase down Tommy Fleetwood or whether he thinks Tommy Fleetwood is going to win. I already know the answer to that, but I can't wait to hear Josh's take. Japan says, did we miss M2? So M Squared didn't make it. He has some technical difficulties. He's out in, Minnesota right now. But he did say, Japan, if you're joining us late, he did say he liked Akshay Bhatia's round score over. He likes Scotty to win at plus 175, plus 180, wherever you get that. And then he also liked Ludwig to potentially top 10 at plus 200. If you have any more questions, once we're done with Caves Valley, we're going to circle back to this tournament. So put your questions or comments or who you're supporting or who you're rooting for in the chat. But for now, let's hear a quick message from our partners.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Thanks for joining us on the Early Wedge. I'm joined by Jason Sobel. And Jason, we got to talk about Caves Valley. We got to talk about the BMW Championship. At this point, it narrows down to 50 as opposed to 70. And then, of course, at the Tour Championship, that's going to narrow to 30. So we're always going to keep our eyes on the FedEx Cup playoff standings for the next couple of weeks here. But talk to me about Caves Valley. I mean, obviously, we're returning here. 2021, we played here. Patrick Cantley beats Bryson DeChambeau in a playoff. This is a big course. It has been changed from a par 72 in 2021 to now a par 70. Two par fives are now par fours. 7,600 yard par 70. It looks to me, Jason, like we're certainly looking for some heavy hitters here.
Yeah, I'm looking for big hitters. Look, 4 years ago, it was wet out there, and they just tore this golf course up. What happens often on the PGA Tour is that when they go to a course as a one-off, they go to a course for the first time, and I'm not talking about major championships going to Oakmont or something like that. I'm talking about when they go to a golf course and they set it up. They set it up erring on the side of caution. Like, you never want to overly set it up. And I know it sounds easy. Like, we're watching on TV, we're like, man, this course is too easy. I can't believe they didn't set it up tougher. And they're like, man, if we'd set up a little tougher and the winds come in, like all of a sudden these guys are getting beaten down. They want guys to make birdies. They don't want 7 over par to be a winning score at a BMW Championship. Although I guess at Olympia Fields a few years ago, we got something close to that, at least low single digits under par. But they tore it up. I expect it to be set up a little more difficult, even if it's set up exactly the same. Going from a par 72 to a par 70. They were 27 under a few years ago. They're going to be 19 under instead based on the math. They can play it exactly the same, have the same total score, and everyone goes, 19 under. That wasn't so easy. And it's good. Like, it's the exact same thing, guys.
That's right.
Before the show, par is just a social construct, and it just doesn't matter. All of that said, I'm looking for big hitters this week. I mentioned Taylor Pendrith. I really like – How about 6 of the guys that were in the top 15 last time? I'm going to be on all these guys. Sergio Garcia, Dustin Johnson, Abraham Answer, John Rahm, Harold Varner, and Jason Kokrak. You like those guys?
Yeah, I think those guys have a real shot next week. Good call. Man, I miss some of those guys, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Whether you like them or not, there's some personalities in there. Okay, so by the way, just to be very particular, Josh is letting me know it's the 2nd and 12th holes that are par 4s instead of par 5s, just in case you're keeping score at home. And if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for watching us. Hit the like button if you could. Make sure you subscribe to the SportsLine YouTube channel and the Early Edge and Early Wedge podcast. That's the same podcast channel, by the way. Search Early Edge or Early Wedge. Find it, subscribe on Spotify and Apple. So obviously the par 70 versus par 72, that's not going to change any minds in terms of who you're taking. Let's talk about some players that you got your eye on. Taylor Pendrith would be a player down the board, Jason, that you like. Let's start talking about maybe some of the bigger names. Let's just keep Scotty out of it because we know everybody's going to like him. His odds are going to be extremely short. We got guys like Xander at the top, who's, been okay, just like he's always been all year. He's been okay. I'm seeing signs, all of that stuff. Ludwig's having an okay tournament. Victor Hovland's always in that conversation. Talk to me about some of the bigger names that you might like next week.
The number is going to be tough for me to get to at a short one, especially not seeing a win at anywhere since last year's Open Championship, but anywhere on a PGA Tour event in a couple of years. But Xander's a guy that, look, I've said it a million times on this show, I've thought that something good's coming from Xander before the end of the season, or maybe it's the Ryder Cup. Like there's something. It's close. It's like getting there, and you can see it coming. Like there's one little part of his game that keeps holding him back, or one round in a given week that's keeping him from being in serious contention. But I do think something good's happened for Xander. And I mentioned Cantley, and I know that's the easy one to go back to. The fact that he won here 4 years ago is going to make him a bit of a popular play, and quite frankly, probably make his number a little bit shorter than it should be, just because we don't have much else to go on. But I think Cantlay's pretty due to go out there and have a serious title contention as well.
What do you think about a guy? And by the way, just to update everybody on Xander, who hasn't completed his 4th round yet at the FedEx St. Jude at TPC Southwind. He's losing a little bit off the tee. He's losing a little bit with the putter. The approach play looks fine. And we know he's been kind of hit or miss off the tee, right? And we know he's been kind of dialed on approach for the most part since returning from injury earlier this year. What about a guy like Cameron Young, who is doing just fine this week? We'll see how his round 4 goes, but certainly seems to have the confidence. He never seems to have confidence. Certainly seems to have the game in order. Is he the type of guy maybe a little bit down the board that you'd like? And your comments on Ludwig or Victor Hovland?
Yeah, look, Cam's running hot right now. Obviously not playing his best golf this week, but still not bad whatsoever. It's funny, Tommy Fleetwood called TPC Southwind a first shot golf course yesterday. I don't think that the stats bear that out whatsoever. I get it. He's hitting a lot of fairways, and that certainly helped put him in position to hit good approach shots and make birdies, but I wouldn't call this one a first shot golf course. Next week, for as much as I can remember from 4 years ago, that is a first shot golf course. When Cantlay and Bryson are heading the leaderboard and you've got a bunch of really good drivers of the golf ball that are up there. Now, granted, it was playing long and wet and soft, and you could basically just mash it and essentially like just be in decent shape. The ball wasn't bouncing around. I'm interested to see how this golf course looks, assuming that there's less rain in the area. I mean, Sia, you're not too far from there. You probably give us a little weather report on what it's been like, but it can't be wetter and soggier than it was 4 years ago. That said, I still think that's going to be a first shot golf course, certainly more than TPC Southwind.
Yeah, and there hasn't been Josh is chiming in as well, our esteemed producer, who also lives in the same area I live in. Hasn't been a ton of rain. So we'll see. I mean, there's always the threat of rain leading up to the tournament. I haven't looked at the forecast, and certainly some of the storms and thunderstorms in the afternoon can be like heavy downpours, but we haven't seen that in a few weeks. So we'll see how that bears out. Anybody else? So, Victor Hovland and Ludwig will always have my interest. Guy like Chris Gotterup, who is, again, not having a great tournament, bouncing back a little bit in round 4. Somebody like that has my interest. Any thoughts with any of those guys, or maybe some sleepers who maybe aren't like the big hitters that you think could handle themselves well?
I mean, I'm basically going to go straight to the strokes gained off the tee stat and start working my way down to guys that I like. I'm probably not going to be on Rory. I don't know, like just karma's going to come bite Rory a little bit. I can't imagine that he's going to take a week off and go win the BMW, although it would kind of make sense. I mean, these guys are all playing a full week of golf in the heat in Memphis and long year, and they're tired. And Rory just kind of bounces away into town at Caves Valley. He's like, oh, cool. You guys tired from last week? I didn't play any golf. I took the week off. So that could certainly help him. Chris Gotterup, 7th strokes gained off the tee. Taylor Pendrith, 8th strokes gained off the tee. If he gets in, and that's a big if right now, Kurt Kitayama, 11th strokes gained off the tee. Ludwig is 12th. I mean, though, I'm kind of looking right there for all these guys. If we want to talk about, again, I know he's won twice on the PGA Tour, but if we want to talk about guys who don't win, starting to win golf tournaments, I'm not sure I'm there yet, but we can go from Young to Fleetwood to Corey Connors somewhere outside of the Valero Texas Open. Mm-hmm. I'm not so sure his wrist is as fully healed as he'd like to make us believe right now, but should be a good fit for that golf course as well.
Yeah, I think there's some really interesting names down the board that aren't like really outright potential names, but names we're certainly going to talk about on the DFS show at 7:00, like a Sam Stevens, for example. Jacob Bridgman has some interest for me. Sam Burns will have my interest as well. Josh, jump in here real quick and let us know who you like, if you don't mind, for the BMW Championship.
I don't have too many greetings, by the way. Nice to see you all. I don't have too many names to add there. I think long iron play, better driver than you might think. I think Spawn is a good look next week as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not especially popular, because we'll hear a lot about the par 4s that were par 5s, the 7,600 yards. When you go win at Oakmont, I'm pretty sure you can handle any big ballpark that they put in front of you. And he's he's playing well again this week. So I like him as well.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I like Bridgman, because of the long iron play. He's not necessarily as safe off the tee, but yeah, I certainly think that long iron play is going to come in handy. I think Spawn is a good look. But Josh, who do you think is actually going to win next week? I'm holding you to that. 5 days before the tournament starts? 4.5.
I suppose I'd be firmly in the loser category if I just say Scotty Scheffler, right? That's
no
no
good
fun.
call. I like that call, actually.
Well,
we hadn't mentioned him.
Yeah.
Well, we do a lot of betting.
I heard he's pretty good.
We do a lot of betting on the show. So, okay, Scotty, I like that answer. Now, pretend you're betting it, and you have to do the without Scotty market. Now, who do you like to win?
Without Scotty, if we can do without everybody, I think, or without like the big four or something. I think Goddard will be interesting next week. I think this week is a weird tournament for him.
Yeah.
Just from I don't think it's a great course fit. I don't think it amplifies what he does best, and wouldn't be surprised if he just bounces right back and plays some really good golf. Yeah, I mean, on paper, really big place. With the rested Rory, seems like he should factor in. I think he's played some pretty stellar golf since the weird stretch after the Masters with the driver stuff. So I would not be surprised if he plays well. And Patrick Cantlay will finish like T9 and not make an important golf shot all week, but we'll cash the $700,000 he'll get for his top 10.
I will throw in, guys. Wyndham Clark currently right now 3 over through 3 holes at the FedEx St. Jude, which is a shame because it moves him from 49th projected to 56th on the standings. Means he won't get in next week. He's a guy that I probably would have liked if he was 3 under through 3 instead of 3 over through 3 right now. Wyndham Clark might be inside that top 50 and might have a chance next week.
Well, I'll tell you this. Speaking of Chris Goddard, who definitely will be playing next week, and certainly probably the Tour Championship as well. If you're thinking, hey, Goddard had a bad tournament, it's true, except for round 4, because he's got 2 holes left. He's 5 under. He's got 7 birdies on the card, 2 bogeys. Chris Goddard, you're right, Josh, probably not the best course fit. Next week probably looks a lot better for him. The vibes are going to be relatively high with, I don't know how he's going to do the last 2 holes, but he's going to be maybe 5-6 under to finish his closing stretch at the FedEx St. Jude.
The other name I'll throw in there is a guy who his 2025 is going to be defined by how poor he was in major championships, especially in the back half of the year. And that's Ludwig, we're on like tournament 7 in a row, gaining both off the tee and an approach. He's a little Patrick Cantlay-ish from we all get all up in arms major championship week, rightfully so, because he's that good of a player, but he is hitting the cover off the golf ball right now. And outside of the Travelers in the US Open, I mean, he played pretty well at the Open and then is just kind of banking top 15 finishes on the PGA Tour. So he is, and it looks like, with a decent round today, he'll probably finish top 10 here. So I like him as well.
I like that a lot, Josh. And I will throw in the fact that I feel like the process of elimination is there's some separation right now where you're looking at some players, and yes, these guys are good enough that they find something on a range on a Tuesday morning and all of a sudden play back. But like, where is Justin Thomas right now? Just on a golf course where he's found success this week, absolutely showing nothing. Victor Hovland at a place that should fit his skill set, doing nothing this week. Colin Morikawa was up there for a couple of days and then shot 72 yesterday on a day when everybody was going under par. I mean, there's some separation and there's some easy guys to cross off your list unless you want to be completely contrarian. Maybe for DFS purposes, you're like, okay, I just want to get, in a 50-man field. There's not a lot of ways to get different. So I'm just going to take the guys who aren't playing well and see if I can get some leverage there. But in the betting markets, like I'm not touching those guys.
Yeah. I mean, Justin Thomas, I know, Josh, you like Justin Thomas a little bit this week, and you thought, okay, like it just sets up well for him, maybe not necessarily having to pull driver off the tee. Well, next week doesn't set up that well for him, does it?
No. And this week he is the putter has fallen off the face of the earth this week. 55th right now in strokes game putting. He's going to lose strokes putting unless he has, he's made lots of birdies today. So
yeah.
he'll go and like shoot 30 on the back nine and his putting streak will continue. But he hasn't lost strokes on the green since Bay Hill, where like that's like 6 months ago, 5 months ago, and now he's doing it this week. But yeah, any place that you've got a first shot golf course, as Jason said, I'm good. Get me as far away from JT on a first shot golf course right now as I can get.
Yeah, and speaking of Ludwig, I will tell just to update everybody on the early wedge one and done, which had over 1,000 people in it. Maybe next season we'll have over 2,000. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. I was inside the top 10 for a few weeks. Now I'm like inside the top 60 and fading. And I've just, I have Hovland this week. Like I'm just, I'm not there anymore. But with that said, we're not doing the Tour Championship, right? It ends next week. I've got a bunch of good players left because I actually thought we were doing the Tour Championship because I'm an idiot. Like I have Cantlay left. I have Ludwig, but I'm going to use Ludwig next week and hope I can pop and maybe get back inside the top 25 or top 30 or something. So FYI, that's my one and done pick. Everybody.
I can't remember who I took, and I think it might have been Fleetwood, and it probably wasn't. And I'm just thinking right now, like, oh, cool. I've got Josh. Can you confirm or deny?
Nah, I can actually. Give me just a moment.
Okay. If it's Fleetwood, that's going to be, well, we don't know how that's going to end up.
I think it's Fleetwood. It's probably like,
You're right. Fleetwood. You've got Fleetwood. Sia went Victor. Patrick and I went with Patrick Cantlay. So potentially a decent payday if he has a good day today. And then EC went with Xander.
I honestly, as you know, I loved Fleetwood this week, and I never do. I wish I hadn't used him because I'd be using him this week as well. Jason, go ahead.
So I've got more at stake today. This is just a fun little thing. I like those. I call them scratch-off tickets. I love sitting around on a Wednesday night. Just okay, all the work's done for the week. All the previews are over. We've done all our shows. We're gonna kick back and just make stupid bets that are never gonna cash. Except maybe they could. All right. Here's a 4-play parlay. I've got Grant Forrest to win on the DP World Tour. Winner. I've got Tommy Fleetwood to win on the PGA Tour.
Okay.
We'll see. Got John Rahm to win on Live.
I don't know what's going on Live.
2 back in 3rd place.
Interesting.
Burmester and Ballester. Oh, has this thing changed? You know what? At some point, Liv can put how many holes they have left on a thing because you can't tell.
Make it easy.
So it looks like they are through four holes today. Right, yeah, Dean.
Okay, yeah.
He is part of a tie, like a 3-4 way tie for 5th, but there are 4 guys at 1 shot ahead.
Yeah. So Rahm's 1 back with 4 holes into it, 5 holes. Rahm's 2 over for the day, by the way. Come on. In any case, John Rahm 1 back in this parlay, and Ernie Els, who is 4 back on PGA Tour champions. I have a feeling that's going to be the one that hurts me. Stuart Sink in the lead right now. Stephen Holker's up there. It's not like he's got easy guys to go catch, but if we can somehow put all those things together, I mean,
honestly, that ticket, I'm just assuming like $2 pays something in the order of like $12,000.
This was $1.13 for $15K.
Unbelievable. Sure. That would be the best ticket ever. Please, Ernie Els, chase down Stuart Sink.
And by the way, first of all, I do these all the time and they never hit. And it's fun for me. Like I'm going to take $50 in a week because I don't care. And I'm going to make 50 like $1 parlays and I might round robin them if I really like it, whatever. I'm having fun betting. Everyone out there wants to win money. And yes, we're all trying to let's have fun.
Listen,
that said, I don't know what else is, but this is not big money. And I also know that somehow if I ever win one of these and I post a screenshot and be like, oh, you're only betting $1. Like I want people out there to know, like, yes, I'm not putting $100 on a 4-way parlay for 4 guys to win at the beginning of the week. This is that would be stupid. I would be down a lot right now because I'm not.
Don't forget to have fun betting, especially when you're doing it for $1 here, $2 there. The entertainment value is sometimes what it's all about. So we like to win money, but we definitely like to have fun with all of this stuff that we do on the early wedge, the early edge, and so many other things. All right, well, we got I guess that's the quick rundown. I will tell you that we've got a lot of shows for the BMW Championship. Of course, tomorrow at 7 o'clock is DFS show with Mike McClure, probably Rick Gaiman on that one as well. That's an important show because we only have 50 players. So the game theory, how we play this is going to be really important. Mike McClure is always really good with that. We got the Best Bets show at 7 o'clock on Tuesday. And then, of course, the live chat on Wednesday at 4 o'clock. That's just the front end of the week. We got more to deliver on CBS Sports Network later in the week, particularly Friday at 1 o'clock. Then, of course, this show every Sunday at 10:30. That's going to cover our coverage, if you will, of the BMW Championship for now. Thanks for joining us for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to circle back, though. What's going out on the course? Your guy, Justin Thomas, Josh, is having a nice little day here. He's got it to 4 under as he hits the par 3 11th. Jason, what are you noticing out on the course, if anything? There are some low scores here. Does any of this really change your mind? Because there's some blow-ups as well. Any of this change your mind at the top of the board?
No, not really. I mean, the guys at the top of the board have something on the line today, and those guys are it's a little more meaningful. I think if we had, we're not getting up earlier to start the show earlier, but if we had gotten ahead of things and told you about some of the players, one of the things I mentioned to you, Sia, before we kicked off is that this is one of those days where you can sort of target the guys who are 63rd in the FedEx Cup standings projected and aren't going to get into the top 50. This is one of those days where you're dead man walking, and these guys are, I'm sunburned. I've been in Memphis for 7 days. I'm ready to go home. I'm looking at vacation 24 hours from now, and I can't wait for it. I'm making plans. They just want to get out of there. So I think some of these guys you can target, but probably not too many of the ones that are teeing off at 10:30 local time and beyond. So I think we're kind of past the point of finding an edge on a lot of those guys.
Yeah, I think that's the Tony Finau experience right now. Yeah. +4 through 9. He's not making anything next week. Jason Day he's going to be in the top 50, I think, but he's +7 through 9. So Josh, some of these guys absolutely blowing up. Any thoughts in terms of what you're seeing out on the course and how that might affect things later on today?
Not a ton has changed since we kind of took a break to talk BMW. The only thing I will say is that this tournament will not be over on the 10th tee, regardless of how many shots ahead the guy in first is.
That's right.
Hideki was like half a dozen ahead at the turn at this tournament last year and made birdie on the last 2 holes and won by 2. Now it didn't end up being, he was, once he found the fairway on 18, it was basically over. He just didn't need to blow up, ended up making a birdie, kind of like a, winning 3-1 situation. But he made a couple bogeys, made a double. There are places to make mistakes on the back 9, and there are also places to compound mistakes if you miss fairways. If you do it on 15, if you're in the rough right trying to get over the creek. On 17, we saw, who was that yesterday? Maybe Bug Cauley try to get over the creek on 17 with an errant tee shot and just dumped it in the bunker. Scotty had to punch out to the right on 17 yesterday. So it is possible that we see some big numbers on the back 9, and you could get a really good number on somebody around the turn.
And we've seen Fleetwood bungle 18, I think 2 out of 3 days with bogeys. Josh, with Fleetwood in mind, I know you don't really think he's going to close the deal here. And I don't listen. I mean, it's not like that's a bad take. Who do you think is going to win this thing?
Well, I think Scotty's going to win. I actually think it's kind of wild that Scotty is who Scotty is, and he's plus money to win this golf tournament. I think that
the fact that he's a dog actually is surprising to me right now.
Unbelievable as far as I'm concerned, that he'll be 3 back on Friday or 6 back on Friday, and we'll see him with the best odds to win the tournament. But he's a couple back of a guy who's got one of the bigger mountains that's trying to be climbed just by any PGA Tour player right now in terms of the baggage and the scars that he's trying to overcome to do something he hasn't done before. Mm-hmm. And for Scotty to only be a couple back having a very typical Scotty week. He's not completely dialed in, but he's certainly playing well enough to go out and shoot something reasonable and win this golf tournament. So I was pretty surprised that he's plus money and not the favorite.
Josh, I think you make a great point there. Look, I do like Tommy. I'll get into that in a second, but Scotty was what, plus 280 to start the week?
Some 260, I think. 280, 260.
Depending on where you look.
For him to be plus 170 when he's 2 shots back going into the final round doesn't seem commensurate with where he started the week. So I think if you like Scotty, jump on that number. I don't think that's a bad number whatsoever. That said, I do like Tommy. I'll tell you why I like Tommy. This feels like the perfect Tommy Fleetwood day to win a golf tournament because it doesn't matter whatsoever. Like, it's not – if Scotty doesn't win the FedEx St. Jude Championship, you know what he does? He goes to the BMW next week, then he goes to the Tour Championship, and he tries – we'll forget all of this ever happened 2 weeks from now because it just doesn't matter a whole lot. It matters for the Jonathan Vegases out there who are trying to stay inside the top 50, get into the signature events next year, and, like, that's where the real storylines are. But if Tommy Fleetwood wins or finishes second, if Scotty wins or finishes second, no matter what, they're going to Maryland later tonight. They're going to Atlanta the week after that, and they're going to try to win the FedEx Cup. And, like, it doesn't really matter. And for a tournament that doesn't really matter, it kind of fits that it would be Tommy Fleetwood winning for the first time in a place that doesn't really matter if you win or not.
I mean, that's true, but there's also the Tommy that just completely ejects early in the round. And that's what I fear because, again, everybody, I've been doing this without Scotty Scheffler, Mark, and I feel a lot better going into Sundays than most of you do who are going up against Scotty. But I'm worried the ejection might have Novak or Spawn or Rose just pass him. But I agree. I think Scotty Scheffler is going to win this tournament. I hope, Jason, I absolutely hope you're right. And I do think if we're narrative shopping, this might be the right time for Tommy Fleetwood, especially because he's just been so disciplined about finding fairways. Josh, you had mentioned it earlier to me privately. And it's everybody knows this, right? He's not missing fairways. He's hit 37 out of 42 fairways, and that's
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. What's interesting though, is his approach has tailed off a little bit, particularly yesterday. So I don't know if that's the nerves thing or not. Jason, go ahead.
If it was anyone that wasn't named Scotty Scheffler, I think you would look at his stats profile over 3 rounds and say, I don't know, he's doing most of his damage with the putter. So I don't know if that's sustainable for one more round. If that was Max Grazerman, who's in 3rd place right now, and you're like, I don't know, he's making everything so far through 54 holes. I don't know if he can do that for 18 more. But of course, it's Scotty Scheffler, and you're like, I don't know, Scotty's putting really well. If he just hits it the way he knows how to hit it, he's going to shoot 62 and win by 4.
That's the thing. We're looking for regression with the ball striking with Scotty back to like prime Scotty. Josh, go ahead.
And slightly off, by the way, is 3rd off the tee and 13th in approach for Scotty this week. Right. Like that's slightly. He's actually 60th around the green. So I could even turn it around and say like Scotty top 10 putter in the world. That's par for the course for 2025. Scotty 60th in the field around the greens. Like that makes me think he's going to chip in twice on the front 9. As for Tommy, I think the most important golf shot of the round will be his approach into number 3. If he hits the fairway, especially because then he'll be faced with number 3 is the par 5 with water right. He put it in the water yesterday, and maybe missing the fairway makes it easier because he'll just have to lay up. But if he hits a really good drive on 3 and steps up and hits a fairway wood, where you're supposed to miss it, or hits it, leaves it in that left bunker, which is fine. If he hits that shot and pulls it off, it doesn't come away losing strokes there like he did yesterday, then we might be in business. I do think it's helpful that a lot of the more dangerous shots on the course, once we really get down to the back side of the back 9 at TPC Southwind, are drivers. They're tee shots. I think that is helpful. On 18, once you can play 35 feet right of the pen, but you've got to step up and hit a good tee shot on 18. 17, you really need to be in the fairway. So I think that does help Tommy, because down the stretch at the Travelers, his distance control was pretty putrid. It was really bad. Like he probably would tell you he hit a lot of really good shots and none of them went the distance they needed to. And but if he can just get in the fairway, I think from that sense, he has a point when talking about it being a first shot golf course, that down the stretch, those are some of the more important swings.
Big day, I think, for Ian Finnis, longtime caddy for Tommy Fleetwood. Great dude. You wouldn't want to get in a bar fight with Fino, but he's a guy that I think Tommy needs a little direction out there. Tommy needs a little leading around, like, hey, whatever you do, don't go that way. Whatever you do, don't go that way. Like, hey, maybe it's an adrenaline thing. Like, they've been together for at least a decade. It's an adrenaline thing. Like, hey, distance control is off. I need to know whether to, like, give him that fake yardage like Steve Williams used to do for Tiger. And, it's 160. I'm going to tell him it's 153 because I know he's going to step on this one because he's a little amped up. Whatever it takes, he's going to have to get Tommy into the house. Like, Tommy's going to need some help getting there if it's going to happen today.
By the way, Dustin Wiles in the chat is reminding me. I forgot about the long shot section. If we get Scotty finishing 1 and Fleetwood finishing 2, we cashed the Fleetwood 18-1 without Scotty. But don't forget, we were going for the scoop with Burns and Hovland, but also for Kirk in the without Big Four market. So Kirk is at 60-1 in without the Big Four, which of course includes Scotty and Fleetwood. So that scoop potential, while Hovland and Burns kind of crashed out, that scoop potential is still very alive with Kirk. So we've got an 18-1 and a 60-1 ticket that could cash if we get Fleetwood, Kirk 2-3. That's pretty cool.
Fleetwood being in the Big Four market is the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know.
That's so good.
Fleet and JT in that market. I mean, no offense against JT. I was a little surprised, but then the argument was, well, who are you gonna, because they usually do it with 4. So who you putting in there? Henley? Like, I guess I kind of get JT.
Yeah. I suppose that's not the greatest advertisement for the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs is that you've got Tommy Fleetwood in your Big Four without market.
That's right. I guess Rory would have taken that spot. So let's before we get out of here real quick, let's settle in on, I think the matchup we liked the best, Jason. Was it Cantlay, that minus 115 or minus 125? I mean, if you can get the better number, get it over Straka.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I liked. I think Pendrith too. Pendrith over Akshay. Pendrith being the underdog in that matchup.
Yes, minus 105.
I think it's very, very interesting.
I think that's very interesting as well. I know, again, just to if you're joined us late, Mike McClure did like Akshay's round score over. I actually don't even know. Maybe he's teed off already, but some of you might have caught that. And he also likes Ludwig to top 10 at plus 200. I certainly don't mind that play. I'll mention Cam Young. Has he teed off already? Cam Young for a top 20 was minus 125, but for a top 10 was plus 450.
He teed off 6 minutes ago, so I'm sure he's in one fairway somewhere.
Yeah. So that would have been something to consider as well. And then, of course, McClure also likes Scotty at plus 170. But again, if you watch the early wedge, you've got a lot going on outside of the matchups, right? Because we've got a lot of tickets that may or may not cash. Dustin Wiles says Bridgman over Dietrich. You're probably joining us late. I love Bridgman. Jason, I know you like Bridgman a lot as well. I personally would stay away from that, but you kind of like Bridgman there, Jason.
I like Dietrich's ball striking. What I said about that one was it's one of those where you could be on Dietrich and be on the right side the whole time, and Bridgman rolls in a couple of 15-footers, and you're like, I wasn't wrong, and I still lost the bet. So I'm just kind of staying away from that one.
Does anybody know what Lori Switzer's talking about? Scotty's caddy.
I was just looking, and I haven't seen anything on the Bird app yet.
Oh. Yeah, Lori, if you could be more specific as to what you're talking about, because obviously that would be pretty big impact if what you just said sounds like what it sounds like. I can't imagine that's the case, though. Obviously, we're doing a show, so you might have information before us. But Dustin Wiles, but the matchup plays are only leans for me, unfortunately, the two we just talked about. Nothing like I put out on the early edge. Not an official play for me today. Anything about Scotty caddy?
No, I'm doing a Ted Scott search on Twitter right now. I see nothing.
Okay, so she's probably just referring to something. Oh, he's out for family matters. Oh, it's on golf pregame, she says.
Okay, really?
That sounds pretty specific to be untrue.
Yeah, I know Todd Lewis is there for Golf Channel, and I'm sure it's him reporting on that. And if he's saying that, it's got to be true. So
yeah,
I tend to believe that.
I mean, first of all, hopefully everything is okay there, but Scotty's so good. I don't know that this is going to be a super big black. But Jason, any thoughts on this? I mean, again, hopefully everything is okay, family matters wise, but Thoughts on him not having his caddy potentially?
Look, I don't want to minimize the importance of caddies on the PGA Tour. We've seen Justin Thomas take Joe Griner, who granted is a professional caddy, but in their second week together, he won the RBC Heritage. Yeah. Sepp Straka had a buddy on the bag, granted, a guy who's a mini tour player. He went out there and won the Truist with a buddy on the bag. And then Kurt Kitayama a few weeks ago, Tim Tucker leaves and he goes, okay, I'll get my brother to come carry the bag. And he wins with his brother on the bag. If anything, it's showing us that guys tend to buckle down a little bit when they don't have their normal guy on the bag and they have to maybe, do the numbers themselves a little bit and think for themselves and don't just take what the usual guy has given them. So maybe it helps Scotty a little bit. Scotty's played a few rounds over the last few years that I'm thinking off the top of my head without Ted Scott on the bag. I don't know if he's got any buddies that are around in Memphis.
I've got it right here.
It just came out. It just came out.
Yeah, PGA Tour tweeted out, Scotty Scheffler will use fill-in caddy Brad Payne Sunday after Ted Scott returns home for a private family matter.
Okay.
There you go.
Any Jason, I'm just curious. Do you know who Brad Payne is?
I do not. I don't know if that I'm looking at that picture on the
Brad Payne. I think Payne is part of Scotty's team in one way or another because he was the guy who was on the bag for Scotty's PGA Championship round that Ted Scott missed at Valhalla for like a graduation or something. If I'm remembering correctly. So I think he's part of the team.
I had something here. Hang on.
He's the chaplain. That's right. He serves as a chaplain on the PGA Tour.
Played college golf. Played at Pepperdine. Close friends. He's caddied for Paul Stankowski in the past. Okay. He works for a college golf fellowship, which is, a lot of guys go to Bible study and other things with them. So yeah, he's around the tour. I think that's very comfortable for Scotty. I don't know that necessarily affects, the betting markets and affects how he's going to play today or anything like that. Usually Ted Scott's not reading greens and reading putts for him. So I just don't know that it hurts him at all. And in some ways it might help. Like I said, we've seen a lot of temp caddies go out there and win with their guys. Their guys kind of feel like, okay, it's on me a little bit. I just talked a few minutes ago about Ian Finnis needing to kind of lead Tommy Fleetwood around this golf course a little bit. Sometimes when you take more ownership and you don't lean on your caddy as much, it kind of helps you. Scotty knows how to play golf. Scotty can play 18 holes on a golf course he's played 30 times already in his career, and he can figure it out by himself with the guy just carrying the sticks.
I was going to say the exact same thing about green reading. Scotty reads all of his own greens at this point. That wasn't always the case. And then they realized that Scotty was just a good greens reader. So Ted Scott not nearly as involved with that process as he once was. So from that perspective, I think Ted clearly obviously does a ton for Scotty, but also very much a part of his, mental game and prepping in that way and keeping him in that space on the course more than maybe putt it here.
I mean, all I can think about is Scotty thinking he has to really kick it in gear and get to another level because he doesn't have Ted Scott today, which means Scotty by a million. That's like that. I can't get that thought out of my head. But just like
usual.
Can we have Fleetwood finish second place, please? That's all I'm asking.
I mean, look, we don't know what's going on with Ted Scott. If it is, it sounds like a family personal matter. Yeah. If anything, Scotty Scheffler can't do much else for him right now other than I'm going to go win this one. And, thinking of Ted Scott the whole time, they've become very close. And the best he can do is go out there and win the golf tournament and then be able to, send some thoughts his way.
And we'll send some thoughts just in case Ted Scott's way as well. Hopefully everything is okay as it relates to his family. Brad Morris says, thanks for all the info, crew, and chat. Really good stuff as always. We're going to do it again next Sunday, Brad. So join us for that. Appreciate everybody hitting the like button. We got a lot of likes. We got a lot of views. We always appreciate that. And if you're on Twitter and you want to make Twitter comments, that's great. You can jump into the YouTube chat as well here at SportsLine on YouTube And don't forget, we'll be here tomorrow at 7 o'clock for the DFS show. And of course, tomorrow morning for the Early Edge. That's on this same podcast channel, and it's on this same YouTube SportsLine channel. So always join us there, 10 o'clock every Monday through Friday. But Jason, thank you very much. Josh, thank you very much. It's been a great show. I thought this was very spirited. We got a lot of tickets to look after. So this is going to be a very, very fun afternoon. Maybe we'll be on Twitter chatting with each other. If you have questions for me, go ahead and tag me on a post and I can give you my opinion, or send me a private message. I'm always willing to answer those. But for now, that'll do it for the Early Wedge. Enjoy round 4, folks. We'll see you next time right here.